Emily's got a client who's looking to expand into a completely new territory. With that comes the age-old question, is it time for a new site, or can we just build upon the one we already have?
Yeah, and also people think in terms of, if I have a different service or it's different on my core market, do I need a different website for that core service in that new market? And the answer is absolutely no. I mean, one website, all locations, all services, one powerful behemoth of a website that when you're investing into content for one core metro, it's supporting your other metros, because as we know, one of the things that Google definitely looks at when analyzing the power of a website, how long you've been around for, how much content's on your actual website, how many people are backlinking to, and most importantly, how many reviews do you have not only on your website, but other online channels as well too.
Traditionally, home remodeling and home services customers have always relied upon traditional advertising like TV, like print, like radio for all of their branding efforts. What are we going to do here, and how is it going to provide us a better opportunity to provide leads at the end of the day?
With online, it's so much easier for us to track everything. We have tracking lines, we have special URLs created. We can do that for offline. Our customers just need to know about it. So to do that, what we need to do is create special landing pages for TV, for radio, have a special offer running. We'll write a special URL in there, and then we'll have tracking lines as well set up for them.
Yeah.
How do we know that we're generating the right eyeballs, and how do we know we're generating the right brand recognition? Because let's be honest, just because a brand carries weight within a particular metro, you move 50 miles outside and it's likely that no one's ever heard of them before.
Yeah, not a chance. I mean, you go into a brand new market, you already called out 50 miles away or even another state away. How is any homeowner out there supposed to know who, this remodeler, HVAC, or other service provider actually is? And that comes down to educating that actual market with, brand awareness campaigns. And additionally, we also have to inform Google that, hey, Google, we are now, this service provider, this actual market. And that comes down to additional content for that service in that area.
Is TV the right platform to do this on?
Oh man, that is a loaded question right there. So obviously television, any remodeler or any HVAC guy that's out there that's going to go into a new market, TV is the fast way to get your brand out there. But we talked about this on the last time we sat down and had a chat, Jim. The only way to properly attribute television is ask that question, how did you hear about us? And, one thing I would love to be able to get rid of in the marketing attribution process is that question. I want to take that guesswork out of knowing where my marketing dollars went and the result out of it actually was. So I was speaking about this with one of our account managers earlier, and he's about ready to talk about some Facebook and YouTube advertising for one of our customers, and also using it as a pitch in terms of it could be a cheaper cost per lead. However, what I think happens is, what remodelers might do when they're spending dollars on these offline branded channels such as TV and radio, we know that, it's going to drive a lot of traffic to the website, and that's going to blend into organic results as well too. So they're going to probably go ahead and bucket that CPL cost, and it's going to be risen up based on your advertising spend in these offline channels.
When it comes to the generation of your digital CPL, the fatal flaw is taking all of your digital spend and then dividing that by the total amount of leads that you generated.
Yeah.
What you should be doing is breaking down your spend into what portion of the funnel you've been able to generate either traffic, generate branded traffic, generate repeat traffic, and then convert the traffic. That's where you should be. That's how you should be analyzing cost per lead. What did I spend, and how much traffic did I send? Mm-hmm. How much spend did it take for me to bring back customers a second, a third, a fourth time with more specific content and more specific messaging? And then at the bottom, how much did I spend to finally convert that individual? And that's what matters most. That way you can compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. When people analyze their traditional TV spend or traditional print spend, they do the same thing, where it's, obviously you can touch a much broader audience, and so they're looking at total traffic in the door, and then I saw you on TV.
Yeah.
We got to be able to compare top of funnel to top of funnel and bottom of funnel to bottom of funnel, and that's, I think, is the right answer.
So that broad audience portion you just talked about with TV, that is one of the big negatives I see, because you send a TV ad out there, you have really no idea who you're actually speaking to. You have some insights in terms of, all right, I'm placing my ad here at this time during the day, during this actual show. A general demographic, information around that, but you could be speaking to renters out there, people that are just not even close to signing up for an appointment and becoming an actual sale in that long run. So with YouTube, however, we can be much more selective with who we're actually speaking to. YouTube has a lot of great, advanced audiences so we can really target. Most importantly, what we can do is we can upload, the last year of sales data for our customers into Facebook, into YouTube, and build a lookalike audience around that, and now start speaking to people that we know are more likely to turn to an actual sale.
I completely agree. I think one of the other opportunities is to speak to first-time home buyers, and I think that's a huge opportunity when we're expanding into a new market. It's reshaping content to address someone who's never owned a home before, answering their questions, demonstrating that you're the expert within the market, and then building that rapport and building that trust so that they become a customer later on.
I mean, this really comes down to, who are we speaking to, how are we going to actually speak to them and get them to actually sign up. So if we just want to take that segment of first-time home buyers, obviously we need to have a digital strategy around that for better conversions and better online messaging to make sure they sign up.
So what are the key questions we got to make sure we're asking our clients so that when we expand, we know we're meeting their goals and expectations?
What location are you moving into? How are we going to help you track leads coming into that location? CRM, is it going to be new? Is it going to be old? Additionally, what's your budget going to be like? What are your sales goals? Questions like that.
So really, you hit on something very key there, Emily. We would need to know exactly what the sales goal is, and by quarter as well too. That is directly going to output, what's the actual marketing dollars we need to obtain that sales goal, and that's going to directly output how many leads we need, and then obviously we need information in terms of, how many issues our sales guy actually needs per day as well too, so we can put together a solid, comprehensive game plan, not only with online strategy, but with their offline strategy as well too.
I think there's a huge opportunity here to illustrate to a client who's expanding into a new market how every piece of advertising and how the entire sales funnel works together as a system, because it'll be incredibly obvious when they don't have the branded traffic rolling in right away or the crutch to lean on that it's branded traffic that's generating leads. We're going to be able to demonstrate exactly where traffic is coming from, what they're interacting with, and then how we ended up to convert that individual user, and then it becomes so much easier to address the current markets that they're in once that point has been driven home, and once you've illustrated it in a clear and concise way. There's much less tension, there's much less fighting on where leads are coming from, what's actually truly working, and why they're succeeding.
Oh, absolutely. You hit on something in terms of the actual process, and let's go ahead and take a second and talk about this new funnel that we're really rolling out, and 3 different stages to leading up having that lead coming through. So obviously there's brand awareness at the very top of the actual funnel, so that's platforms such as YouTube, Facebook. Let's go ahead and blast this market, get this company's name out there, and gather some actual interest. Then what we want to be able to do is gather all those audience, drive them to the website, have them start exposing their actual intent, maybe what market they're actually interested in, what services they're actually interested for that actual market, and additionally once they start, actually aligning their intent with an actual product and interacting with different content on the website, now we know they're in the actual consideration phase, and now we know how to speak to them a little bit differently. And then finally, once they actually start showing a little bit more signs of intent in terms of maybe they're looking at the quote form, they're reading, articles, or looking at videos, then they're down there in that action phase, and now we know how to definitely talk to them because they're right there ready to go. We just need to have a little extra remarketing efforts behind them, separate budget, separate game plan for them, speak to them a little bit differently, and then push them over that ledge, and then have that lead come through, schedule the actual appointment. And by going through this entire process, in my opinion, what we're going to have come out at the very bottom of the funnel, higher quality lead that converts into an appointment at a higher rate, that converts into a sale at a higher rate, because by educating them, they have less of a need to turn around and get other appointments from your competitors in that actual market.
I'd like to touch on the second point in the funnel there. It's really going to be important for the user to know what products and services they offer, but it's even more important to tell Google of what products and services they offer. So with that, we need to have a really great content plan in place for our clients, and it's going to be content for the new market, for the services that they offer within that market. But I also don't want to neglect the current market that they're servicing. So we still have to bring out content for that, but it's really just in addition to, not instead of. So we have to make sure that Google sees their whatever service there are servicing that area with these products. So that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't want to have to pick and choose which markets we're supporting for which services. If you're a normal remodeler, you either have between 3 and 5 products. If you have HVAC, you could have 4 different services out there. Heating, cooling, whatever it might be. You need to not necessarily have the proper amount of content for that actual market for their core services, and that way you don't have to say this month we're doing windows in this market, or this month we're doing bathrooms in this market. We always have to constantly remind Google that, hey, we are a remodeling company that offers windows in this market, and you need to support that with content every single month.
What that tells me, though, is that means budget in addition to, not budget reattributed. If you want to continue to maintain products within your current market, if you want to continue to maintain your place, the current customers that you serve, pulling dollars away and trying to substitute out what you're actually doing on a monthly basis isn't going to work. It's going to take an independent budget, and it's going to take independent resources.
And In past experiences that I've had, let's think of it as you're going into a new market, let's create a new microsite, completely separate from what we're doing now to really set that foundation. What if the client wants to expand into other markets in the future? We have to be prepared for that.
Absolutely.
We've talked about the strategy, we've talked about the budget. What are we talking about in terms of timeline here?
Let's talk about content first. So what we need to do is create special paid search landing pages for those specific campaigns, and then we need to work on our content plans. So typically we think content's our long-term strategy. We'll need to not only neglect the current market, so create content for that, but also really work on a 2 to 3 month plan for our new market as well. So typically we see with the search engines it takes like 2 to 3 months for content to really take hold. So that's kind of our timeline for that.
With paid search, we see an immediate benefit. Are we sure we can generate leads from day one?
Well, absolutely, but the key point there is we have to make sure the website is set up to be able to convert that actual traffic. I mean, we know the core lead generation keywords on the paid search side that, as I just mentioned, generate leads when we drive to the website. However, if we don't have the actual content on the website to say, hey, we are a remodeler or an HVAC guy in this actual market with these different services, then obviously the campaign isn't going to work, basically. It's going to fail. So we want to make sure we have it set up strategically and then get that campaign going, instant leads coming through. But as Emily just called out, I mean, the long-term play right here is organic content. It just takes a little bit of time to get ramped up, but we do have a good strategy in place to be able to support visibility on the search engine. And it does take a while to have Google recognize us as these service providers in these actual markets. So how do we say that? It's content, it's reviews, it's project content, using our great past projects tool. A lot of great things that we can do in tactics to make sure we're solidifying ourselves as that type of service provider in that market.
And during that time, we're going to be using our top of the funnel channels like Facebook, like YouTube, to help start our brand recognition campaigns too.
We've covered all of our bases, got a plan in place. Ready to do this thing?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Love it.